Today I'm going to do an oral commentary on A Narrow Fellow in the Grass by Emily Dickinson. This poem, Emily Dickinson takes the persona of a mysterious man who is trying to introduce us to the animal, the snake. The audience, however, is Emily herself because the poem was not intended to be published, and it was discovered after her death. Through this poem, Emily Dickinson talks about her perception of nature and her appreciation of nature. She might also be describing a heart-striking event. The style of this poem is casual and narrative. It has 6 stanzas. The tone is light-hearted, nostalgic, and pathos, since Emily Dickinson changes character midway. The rhythmic structure of this poem is the ballad meter, ABCB, whereas lines 2 and 4 rhyme, emphasizing on important concepts and make the whole poem coherent. Emily Dickinson puts herself in the body of a grown man and uses aspects of poetry, including structure and devices, and a unique perspective to tell a story about nature or an event. Now we look at the first stanza. The second line, Emily Dickinson occasionally rides. A narrow fellow in the grass, we know that's the snake. Occasionally rides. This is a personification. We do not usually see snakes riding. This will give the audience a feeling that the snake is innocent, and somehow try to talk about the snake as if telling a bedtime story to a child. As we move on to the next line, you may have met him, did you not? His notice instant is. This is unusual. Here we have the unusual syntax, where we expect the order to be you may not have met him. Well, here Emily will not change it otherwise, because she is sure that the person who she is addressing has sure not met the snake. His notice instant is. Is notice a noun or a verb? Emily Dickinson muddles this up because so that we won't know who notices whom. The snake notices the man, or the man notices the snake. If it is a verb, then it will be the man notices the snake. This will add a mysterious shade on the subject she's talking about, the snake, which also foreshadows her change in perception in later stanzas. Moving on to the second stanza, the grass divides as with a comb. The word as indicates there is a simile. Emily Dickinson compares the motion of the snake, which she with the movement of a comb as it divides through the grass. This indicates that the snake moves smoothly, fastly, but so that kind of adds a dangerous shade to this to the perception of the snake. But still, she still tells it like a children's story. Some of us are starting to question, is this danger or not? He likes a book. Moving on to the third stanza, we have he likes a boggy acre, a floor too cool for corn. Well, structurally, Emily Dickinson uses 2 hyphens behind boggy acre and too cool for corn. This is as if there is a hesitation, like there is a real conversation going on between the writer and the reader. So we know that as this young boy grows up, he comes to introduce the snake as if he's a zoologist. So there's also a sudden twist that came with this hesitation. This creates a sense of uneasiness, as what Emily Dickinson did with the length of the sentences. The hyphens actually stretch the length of the sentences, as we do not expect it to be he likes a boggy acre, a floor too cool for corn, but he likes a boggy acre, a floor to call for corn, to create a feeling of uneasiness and what do we expect to live in a boggy acre and in a cool floor. Moving on to the fourth stanza, the first two lines have past eye thoughts of whiplash on braiding in the sun. This is clearly a metaphor, comparing the movement of the snake, which is fast, vicious, probably, and furious, because whiplash we will always associate it with something that is painful, that strikes you. So this creates a vivid imagery which juxtaposes the narrow fellow, as we have seen in the previous stanzas, and which gives us impression of not just a narrow helpful fellow, a narrow snake, but also a very dangerous predator that may be awaiting. And braiding in the sun means that the snake is not just fast, vicious, but also powerful. Move on to the fourth line of the fourth stanza. When stopping to secure it, it wrinkled and was gone. Well, wrinkled, do we usually use it as a verb or adjective? Well, we know that when a person faces danger, he or she makes a wrinkled expression. So here, Emily Dickinson uses such adjective as a verb to describe how the man or any other person will react towards the coming of the snake. So just to outline how dangerous the animal could be. Stanza 5. Several of nature's people I know, and they know me. Well, the mood, like the tempo of the poem, it gradually increases, and then here it decreases to a more steady mood. Several nature's people, where she talks about her affiliation or affection towards nature. She also uses the allusion to Genesis, whereas the snake is vicious and symbolizes danger and catastrophe, like the catastrophe that happened upon Adam and Eve. She might be indicating that the snake causes catastrophe upon herself. Going to the next two lines, I feel for them a transport of cordiality. This is an enjambment, and there is a capitalization in cordiality. The sudden stop creates rhythm and stress on the word cordiality, which means harmony. This juxtaposes her feeling towards nature in general and her fear towards the narrow fellow, which is the snake. The last stanza. But never met this fellow tender or alone without a tighter breathing and zero at the bone. We don't usually use zero as a feeling. We know that it's a number, but how do we feel zero? The only way we can feel it is we learn its emptiness. So this is actually a word association, but also a feeling when the fear drains you. So Emily Dickinson will want to create a feeling of suspense at the end of his line, just to make the reader keep on guessing what will happen next. When you meet the snake. So in conclusion, Emily Dickinson uses different structures and literary devices to tell a story of her perspective of nature. And what the question that keeps on being asked, what is a snake? Well, we do not really understand what it truly is, because only Emily Dickinson knows. But from this poem, we can infer that it is something that looks innocent and makes you curious when you were little, but then you grow to know it's something vicious and strike you unprepared. This might be the passage of time, the pain of aging, or perhaps a lover, which broke Emily's heart. These elements appear throughout Emily Dickinson's works, and I don't think this poem will be different in that way.